we have got some hot things talking about on Industry Insider this week. And we've also got an interview from what I would describe as a bit of a mogul when it comes to the UK industry, somebody that's had a major input in its growth and somebody who's still relevant today. Fad Baron is going to be talking to Ms Tempz on the Industry Insider show.
Running a club called the Raw off Tottenham Court Road, by Great Russell Street, downstairs of the YMCA. And every single Friday, you know the YMCA? And every single Friday, I used to get literally 1,000 people. And we must have ran that club for a good 3 years. At the same time, I was running a club in another part of central London, in the really posh part on Jermyn Street. And I was getting 600 people a week on a Saturday night. And I was running that for 3-4 years. And I was also running bank holiday weekends at the Wagon. But so I was a very well-worked DJ, and I was a promoter. So in me doing all of this, eventually a friend of mine, his name is Simon Aldridge. Simon Aldridge used to work for a record company in West London called ZTT. He was the guy responsible for signing the singer called Seal. Are you conversant with Seal? He signed Seal, and then he wanted to sign a girl group called All Saints. Are you conversant with All Saints? So All Saints did a cover version of an American R&B group, and their song was called Silver Shadow. Silver Shadow shining. Yeah. So Simon got All Saints to reflip that. So his next plan was, how do I get that music to the scene, to the DJs, to the radio stations on that arena? So he came to see me in the record store, and I got it popping. A few months later, another friend of mine, he used to run a club in central London called the Astoria on a Saturday night. And he had a promo company called Heavyweight. And his name is Simon Goff. And he used to manage a drum and bass DJ with crazy dreadlocks called Ronnie Size. So Simon Goff basically said, what you did for Simon Aldridge with All Saints and the Atlantic Star, this is what my company Heavyweight Media does. Why don't you come work for me off Charing Cross Road? And I get different records from record companies, from independent guys, and I have to get it popping, and I have to give them reports every couple of weeks, so what's the progress been? So he gave me a job working at Heavyweight Media. And we was doing that, I don't know, probably for 10 months or whatever. And then he got busy, I was doing stuff, he left, I left. And I think it was Red Bull. Red Bull wanted to do a DJ tour in Spain, and they took me and a couple of people to Spain and get it popping. And when I came back, Simon said to me, yo, I'm closing Heavyweight Media. I'm not doing the promo thing no more. I've got a brand new job for a company you might have heard of called Universal. Do you want to do A&R for me at this small company called Universal? I thought to myself, I'd done my degree, I'd finished university, I was running a Friday night club, a Saturday night club, giving out rule flyers and stuff. And I was like, what would be beneficial for me? Do I want to work for that small company 5 days a week called Universal, or do I want to basically work for Wild Pitch? After thinking for 3 minutes, I left Wild Pitch. I left Wild Pitch and I started working for Universal Music Publishing. Now you have to understand that in the music industry, there's an umbrella. Indeed. And then it became more explanatory that under the umbrella of music, one side of it is the recorded side, which is the record label. They're responsible for the manufacture of the physical product, the CD, the vinyl, paying for the budget. So if you're Biggie and you want to do a song with Busta Rhymes and he's not your best friend and he won't do it for free, you have to pay him. And the people who pays him is the record company. That's why they give you an advance. And in that budget of £300,000, you work out, right, that feature with Stormzy, that feature with Buster, blah, blah, blah. That will cost that. That will cost that for the video. That's the record company. The publishing company is the same umbrella, but they're like the cousin, and what they look after the interest of the songwriter hit song by singing someone else's song. The record company gets that, but that person won't get any money from the songwriting because they didn't write the song. So then, and because I'm from that generation of where soul music and body popping and electro became spitting and rapping, and Biggie and Buster and Kalashnikov and Rodney P, I was very infatuated with producers, beat makers, Jay Dilla and blah, blah, blah. So during the publishing side, I signed a young lady who was a singer by the name of Kelly LaRock. I signed a dancehall artist by the name of Glamour Kid. I signed a dope hip hop beat maker by the name of Lewis Parker. I signed a female MC out of West London by the name of Phoebe One. I got involved with producers from Rock Nation. I got involved with producers from DMX's camp. I'd go back and forth to America. I was basically one of the very few people in the United Kingdom, specifically whose job it was to go source, find, make famous Black music. So after I left Universal, Billboard wrote pieces about me. I spent like a year going around the States, meeting links and blah, blah, blah. Then I came back to the UK, and then I got offered another A&R job. A friend of mine, his name is Clive Black. So Clive Black used to run EMI. He was president of EMI for like a good chunk of years. When he left there, he used to work for Warner's. Him and Mickey D, they signed a guy, I think, is Mark Morrison from Leeds or Leicester? They signed Mark Morrison. He had a huge record. Return of the Mac. Leicester. So Clive Black was the guy who had signed Mark Morrison. His dad, Don Black, is a seasoned songwriter. So back in the 70s, Clive Black's father, Don, had written a song for Michael Jackson called Ben. And later on, he wrote a dope song for Shirley Bassey that Kanye West sampled. That was from a James Bond film. So Clive basically thought, right, I heard about you. You've come highly recommended from your peers in that world. I'll give you a job. So I got another job working for, at the time, the biggest independent record company in Europe. Their head offices were in Germany. They had branches in England, France, Holland. They were called Edel Records. So eventually, we did a deal with Island Records. Like, companies can basically do joint venture deals, and it's their money, it's your money, you split the cost. We had an R&B kid from London called Cassius Henry, and I took him to the States because depending on how further you go back, what was acceptable or who the mainstream media had heard of would have been the American R&B or rap music, black music star, because there's 60 million black people in America. They've been there for 400 years, and they had famous people going back to the 30s like Nat King Cole. So the model of a story coming over to the UK, be it Bobby Brown, be it Whitney Houston, by the time it leaves America, they've already had a good story. So what I did at the time, I took Cassius to America to work with Kanye, to work with Freeway. And I started managing around that same kind of period, a beat maker from a place called Derby. And his name is Baby J. Blueprint. From the record shop Blueprint, I got to run in the clubs. From running the clubs, I got offered an A&R job at Universal. From working at Universal, I got to meet all the other A&Rs in records, all the other A&Rs in publishing, all the booking agents, because when you are an act signed to a record company and you see people doing Wireless and Glastonbury and getting bookings up and down the country to perform, these are booking agents. So a newer side of and more knowledge of the industry, I managed to learn and investigate as on my travels. So after I did the 5 years of Universal and going back and forth to the States, the whole Dilla thing, blah, blah, blah. Then I got a job at Edel with a joint venture with Nick Gatfield, Jason Eiley, my boy Clive Black, and we got Cassius popping because I wanted to get the money for me to go and holler at my boy who I knew, Kanye, to produce a couple of tracks, Freeway to spit in a couple. Then after that, I got involved with the rhyme and poetry with the Arts Council. Then I got involved when HFM basically gave me a radio show. At the same time, like there is in London, you've got Lovebox, you have Wireless, you have Glastonbury. All these are music festivals. The big music festival in Camden was a festival called the Camden Crawl. The majority of music festivals, you go, there's a nice bit of dry, emphasize, repeat, dry grass, and on the grass there's a tent. And that tent, you get an armband or I don't know, some kind of pass, pink, green, or yellow, and that tent is drum and bass. That tent is rock. That tent is folk. And this genre, this culture I was involved with, we weren't really getting tents until around this period that Grime Daily was popping and blah, blah, blah. So I was invited with Akala, another UK rapper by the name of Sway, for us to kind of give some knowledge, give some black hipness of the culture to the Camden Crawl, who decided, like Wireless, like Lovebox, like all of them, now we're in the middle of London, and, you know, ethnic people make up a third of the population. Perhaps if we had their culture at these events, they too might buy tickets. So at the Camden Crawl, we had everyone from Little Sims to Lady Leisha to Krypton Conan to Getz to Nick Brewer. Like I did loads of bookings I was there for like 4 years and booked loads and loads of people. So fortunately, at that period, I was working for the Camden Crawl, doing stuff with the Arts Council. I just had my show on HFM, and I was also basically doing the Channel U Hot Bar show. Sadly, Darren passed away, as we know, and they Channel U, I think they sold it to Universal at the time, so they stopped the shows or whatever. HFM still continued, and I'm still there now. I was offered another job, an A&R job by my homeboy Clive for a big publishing company in America called Primary Wave. So Primary Wave, they're based downtown in Manhattan, and they decided to expand as you do, and have an office, a branch in London. Clive began running Primary Wave. He hollered at your boy to come and do what you do. In America, they teamed up with a guy called Chris Lighty. Chris Lighty in the rap culture in America is very, very pivotal. He managed a guy called 50 Cent. He managed a guy called Busta Rhymes. And he can go back to many, many artists in the culture of hip hop. He was one of the most pivotal and integral people. Sadly, he passed away a few years ago, but I managed to meet some of these people through my boy Chris Lighty. When he passed away, the BBC won extra hollered at me for me to basically help steer and implement their documentary on the life of Chris Lighty. Because I'd been the A&R guy, they knew I knew people in America, so I connected the dots. And if you go to my website, you'll hear the